Hello, Jennifer at psychicmediumjenniferdorn.com. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. And Erik, I love you.
I love you too. Glad
Oh,
you're feeling better.
thank you.
Yeah, I've
I've
been
been
doing some
healing.
energy work on
Yeah,
you. They have been, yeah, lots.
yes, yes, exactly. I've been getting I got the Taurus healing last night, which was amazing, really. All right, we
Yeah.
are going to do part two of ancient civilizations. We've been kind of talking about this same ancient civilization that's on that some cataclysmic event had it sink in just a few hours. Lava opening up, tectonic plate flooding, etc. Tectonic plates opening up and just swallowed most of it. And some did climb to higher ground and were saved. And I think that's probably now the Hawaiian Islands. But anyway, we'll go on with that. So I think the same person is answering this. They obviously know a lot about this one. There is a colored tapered building that is leaning on its side under the water near Wailua Falls in Hawaii. With Google Earth, one can see the color still visible. Colored tapered building. What was this building used for? Mr. Erik?
So what Eric is saying is this was some sort of a community, like a public space, a
Oh,
public building. Not a private place. So he says there's all kinds of stuff that went on in their meetings, gatherings,
okay.
ceremonies, this sort of stuff.
Well, interesting.
He does
The
say not a church, though, not a church.
Not a church. The building was originally on flat land, but tectonic forces pushed up this land and that caused the structure to be tilted.
Yes,
So it wasn't originally tilted.
correct.
Okay. There appears to be a building with the top half of it totally covered by rock or part of the Hawaiian island. However, there is light coming from inside the building. Hang on. Could this be could it be that this is radioactive material that is rumored to shine almost forever that was inserted into the walls of this building, which might be giving it off light? If not, what is it? What is that light?
So it's
Is there a light
not
shining through?
it's not radioactive, so there's not a need to be concerned. It does not have like high levels of radiation or radioactivity. He says, but it's there is there there is like reflective. There's some reflective surfaces
Oh,
in there, and there is also extraterrestrial technology in
oh,
there. Part of the materials that create this light. It's not electricity. It's
okay.
it's not electricity
So
doing it. Yeah,
reflective
but
ET materials that are very
mm-hmm,
reflective. Interesting.
mm-hmm.
We found out that ETs were involved in this civilization. It appears as if there are roads on the seabed. They are buckled, bent, twisted, I bet. However, they have not disintegrated. Are these roads? I mean, what material could possibly have these roads endure such a traumatic event?
Yeah, they were for traveling pathways for traveling roads. Um, so it's interesting. What Eric is saying is that it's there is extraterrestrial technology here as well,
Yeah.
to keep it preserved so well, but it's almost like there are parts if you touch it, it would crumble.
Oh,
It would break up.
okay. But
But
with the geological event, what happened?
yeah, yeah. Well, some of it did. Some of it did get
Okay.
destroyed. Not all of it. Some of it did crumble, and even still, some of it seems to like it looks okay. But if you were to actually get in there and start messing with it, it's not as structurally sound as it looks.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Now, this may be related. Are the visible lines on the seabed, these, I guess, different than the roads, maybe, actually tubes to carry people to work and back home? Or something different, like carrying material or fuel?
Yeah, Eric is saying that people didn't travel in them, but they were to transport materials, goods, this sort of thing. But um, the people traveled differently than that. It was different.
How did they travel, Eric?
So portals, teleportation.
Yeah, they did, apparently.
There's this sort of energy back and forth to other places, other planets, other areas. And then walking
Yeah.
animals. There's also travel done like that as well, short distances.
Okay. What kind of animals did they have? The usual that we have?
Yeah, donkeys, horses. There was others that we don't have now.
Oh,
I don't know, like mammoth, like the stuff that used to
okay.
be here but's not anymore.
Oh,
There was some of that kind of stuff as well.
yeah. Okay. Were these lines or tubes structurally elevated above the ground near buildings or their homes?
Yes.
Do they carry like liquid or powder or just Amazon packages? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazon packages. No, like food, liquid materials for building. There's all kinds of stuff that
Cool.
they prep, moved with them.
How did it move?
There is extraterrestrial technology. They must have
Oh,
been quite a lot of that with this
yeah.
group, because it definitely, basically, it would look like through suction is how it would look.
Hmm.
Just like like in the buildings, the mail room,
Oh,
you
yeah.
put it's like this. It's
In the
very, very
bank.
similar to
Yeah.
this, although those, this also goes, what is that?
Horizontally.
Horizontally? Yes.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
cool. Well, I mean, apparently there were mostly ETs and alien hybrids as
Okay.
part of the population. Very some human, but not too many. So that makes sense. Were these lines linked to one another so that someone may or something obviously could switch directions?
Yes.
Okay. It is difficult to make out, but am I seeing this correctly? Are these tunnels transparent? Cool.
Yeah, they are. And Erik was also saying there was like technology on whatever you were, if you were sending something somewhere, that almost had like GPS,
Oh,
so it knew where it was going to end up.
cool.
There's this sort of technology, and yes, it does seem like they're transparent.
All right. Now, this person also asked if their buildings were made of glass, and they found out that it's really not glass, it's some special crystal or stone that's polished to resemble glass. So here's one question. Were the tunnels constructed so that inside the glass, in this case, really stone or crystal, was a substance that minimized the glare of the sun? Was there something to minimize the glare of the sun?
No, it's just, nothing special for that. He says no, nothing special.
Okay, it appears as if the tunnels have a blue color on top of the tunnel. Is this substance that turned blue after a while? Is this why? But was originally intended to minimize the glare of the sun? Well, then they didn't have that, but was it always blue or did it turn blue over
No,
time?
this like sort of like oxidizes, for lack of
Okay,
a better way
okay.
to put it, which is what creates this blue
All
color.
right, some craft can be seen which are bent near the back of the craft with no wings. Did this civilization have anti-gravity technology?
Yes, yes, there was anti-gravity technology. Um, and it's just very, yeah, it must be. It's just very powerful. Like what Erik is showing me is like a helicopter, like vertical, like taking off vertically,
Okay.
like going straight up. So yes, anti-gravity
Can you
technology here.
tell me more about the craft, Erik?
So the ones he's talking about are small, that they're small. They're not like our airplanes, you know, flying hundreds of people. We're just talking like a few. He says they travel, you know, faster than the speed of light. So boom, they, you know,
Wow.
yes. And
Buckle your seatbelt.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And they were used really for traveling. Like he says, you wouldn't just get in one and travel to the other side of the country. It was really more for leaving Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that when did they choose teleportation versus using this craft?
So some of it was preference.
Okay.
Not everybody could fly them.
Yeah.
So for some people, it was necessity for the teleportation because they didn't fly the craft.
Okay.
Not everybody had the ability to do it.
All right. It's like if you own your own plane, you're pilot versus take the car.
Yeah, and plus there wasn't like there was one of those crafts for everybody that was there.
Yeah.
You know, they were limited. So
okay. Where do they usually go? Other planets or star systems?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Did this civilization use giant crystals to power those aircrafts? Is it something else?
So crystals, yes. Giant, no. But crystal, there was some crystals involved there, but they feel smaller. Like it's like the electricity or whatever you want to call it, the energy passing through the crystals, but they're smaller and they're placed throughout. But there's also some sort of fuel, some sort of resource like that that's being used as well.
All right, like a liquid fuel or 0 point energy?
Yeah, like something liquid. Yeah.
Okay, like
not here. It says it's not here.
Oh, what about the material
Yeah.
the crafts are made of? Is that only from other planets?
Yes, that was also extraterrestrial. It's like when these beings came here, the crafts came too.
Okay. All right, that makes
Yeah.
sense. What was the average height? Were they giants or?
Not giant necessarily, but definitely he says larger than like our average. So I don't know what the average height is now, but if you're saying like the average man now is like 6 feet, we're talking maybe more like 7 feet.
Okay, so not that much.
You know, for average height. So there were taller as well.
Did they?
But he is saying like the human hybrids were a little bit shorter, and then you know on average, and then the human is smaller. And he's saying it's about that, like why it's smaller is because the gravity is so dense and heavy here.
Yeah.
The smaller bodies are better.
Oh
than
yeah,
the
right.
really large ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes
Did they
sense.
not eat meat?
He's saying they ate whatever they needed to.
And that include meat or?
Yes, it could, especially when we get more towards the hybrid and the human.
Human, yes, right. Okay.
Yes.
So what did the aliens eat? The pure ETs eat? Or maybe they didn't need to.
This feels more like fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Nuts, seeds, this sort of there was still the need for consuming food.
Yeah.
Erik says even with the full, ET, there was still the need for it.
Okay. I saw evidence that these lines snapped off and are seen resting just on the right of the main line. Is this evidence that the land suddenly torqued and twisted violently? There are apparently many examples of that.
Yes.
Wow. If the land did violently twist, did this occur before the land was engulfed by water or afterwards? Or both?
Well, it's like the land starts to twist, but the water comes in shortly after. So
Okay.
they do seem to happen almost simultaneously.
Okay.
But the land or the plates or whatever, the shifting of the earth happens first.
Okay. Interesting. Structure still can be seen with Google Earth. Does this mean that this civilization found a way to prevent metal from rusting? Or maybe it's a special type of metal, like we talked about.
That's what it is. It's no, it's not. They did not find a way to prevent like the type of metal that we have now from rusting. This is just a different substance.
Okay, it oxidized a little bit and turned blue, but that's it. It wouldn't be destroyed like rust destroys iron.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Did this civilization use giant crystal technology to power their aircraft in the air, underwater, and on land? Well, anyway, crystal technology, not giant. But could
Yeah.
these work in the air and on land and underwater, or only one or a few of those?
So they do go in the water. They go in the water. They go in the air. Although they don't seem, Erik is saying that they don't really seem to go on the land. Like
Okay.
if they were traveling, they would still be like covered up off
Okay.
the ground.
Okay.
Like there's not wheels on them,
Yeah.
so to speak.
All right. When the earthquakes began and people were attempting to escape with their aircraft, did the earthquakes become so strong that the domes holding the crystals, this person was probably in a life in this civilization. He just knows too much, or he, that the domes holding the crystals were slammed shut, thus preventing the aircraft from working? So did the earthquake somehow interfere the strength of the so that they couldn't take off?
Yes, although some of them did get out
Good.
before it happened. But yes, the interference of what Erik is saying is actually the vibration of the earth interfered with the technology.
Okay.
It was very violent. It was very
Mhm.
intense.
Yeah. So this person presenting these questions, did they live in that time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did they
Yeah.
survive? Were they one of the few survivors, or did they die?
No, Erik says they did not make it out.
Oh. Um, was that person a human, hybrid, or ET?
Hybrid.
Okay. Did the earthquakes come about because the crystals were tuned too high? Or was it just a natural geologic event?
Yeah, no, this was not because of the crystals. This was part of the plan for the earth.
Yes, that's what Michelle Gray said. Yeah, too. Just a karmic cycle, a cataclysm that
Okay.
happens
Yeah.
every, I can't remember if it's 12.5 thousand or 25,000 years, but why did the head scientist, see, this is why I think this guy is in charge of studying the power of the crystals, not investigate what would happen if the crystals were tuned higher? Maybe he did. I don't know. Tell me about this head scientist.
Yeah, so this is not why this happened. So it was not because of the crystals
Okay.
that this occurred. So this head scientist
All
was not like to blame here.
right.
Like the crystals were fine to be working the way they were.
Okay, just Mother Earth doing her thing.
Yeah.
Two suspected aircraft were seen near the end of one of these tunnels or lines. Was one of them used as a tourist aircraft because it appears to have windows all around the craft? That is so cool. And maybe this was the first aircraft to arrive? Was it a tourist aircraft? You don't have to be a tourist to want to see outside.
Yeah, not. Erik was saying not really like a tourist. Like this wasn't going around touring just for the sake of it. There wasn't a whole lot of travel just for. Well, he says just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
But it was more about you travel like for survival, for necessity.
Okay.
So the windows, yeah, this is just about being able to see, advancing technology, that sort of stuff.
Now, apparently these two had windows. Obviously, I guess not all of them did. Was this the first aircraft to arrive, or did it have nothing to do with that?
No, it didn't. It was not necessarily. He was also showing me about this particular one. One of the things for the windows is because it could shift and change direction so quickly. So being able to
Oh,
see all around
oh yeah,
was
right.
I mean, it almost feels like this is more of a like something for battle or for fighting or
Oh,
this sort of feel.
oh wow.
Or
Now, was it an emergency craft to pick up some VIP that was working at the now non-existent Central City, who was going to meet them at this particular exit point? See, this is channeled.
no,
Okay,
no.
all right. There appears to be a very different looking aircraft next to the not tourist, but anyway, aircraft. Was this craft also sent to rescue a VIP because the other one failed? What happened to the second craft? Is this a bulk transfer craft? So wait, we'll just
So
the first one. Was it to rescue a rescue craft?
So what Erik is saying about this when we're talking about like the VIPs and stuff, there were beings and souls and people or whatever you want to call them that made it out.
Yeah.
That made it out ahead of this event. And so there wasn't like VIPs
Okay.
necessarily that got stuck here, and those crafts do not, Erik's saying they weren't really for rescue mission.
Okay.
The souls that were supposed to make it out made it out before the event.
Yeah. And one question is, what did they not have psychics to predict the end of this civilization? Well, we know that some of them that were the survivors had a telepathic communication with the parents. I don't know. We don't really know what that meant. So they were able to climb to higher grounds. They had that, but did they not have any psychics?
So interestingly, there were ways of predicting stuff. There were psychics. There were divination tools, Erik is saying. And there is kind of like this feeling of people trying to like warn and say, hey, prepare for this. But other people just saying, oh no, they'll be
The
fine.
end
And
is
then
near. The man holding the sign on the street corner.
yeah, the people who took it seriously left and reached higher ground just as a precaution. But there was a lot of people. This was a relatively big amount of people. And so, but there was always meant to be most of them passing in this.
Yeah. Okay. Were there knowledgeable spiritual people living at the time of this civilization? I think we answered that. Yes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Why didn't the knowledgeable spiritual people inform the head scientists that the crystals were tuned too high? We'll skip that one because that was not the cause, right?
Right. That was not the cause.
It appears as if 5 different aircrafts came to rest on top of buildings, which are now buried, slightly buried anyway. They all appear to be pointing in the same direction. Is this a failed escape because the crystals stopped providing the frequencies, maybe because of the vibration of the earth, to power the aircraft, and they just fell down on the building?
Yes. The vibration of the earth shutting down the crystals does prevent some of the crafts from being able to get out. The other ones made it out before.
Yeah.
So there is that, with like people might look and say, oh, the crystals were tuned too high. That's what caused this. And Erik just keeps saying, no, this was just, I guess Michelle said, what would she call it? A karmic cycle.
Karmic cycle.
It just feels like that. And these crystals don't really feel like the cause of it, although it's easy to look and say that they were.
Yeah.
But really it goes more the other way. The karmic energy of what the earth was doing affects the crystals, not necessarily the other way around.
Exactly. That makes sense. Okay. If this civilization knew that the glaciers would eventually melt and drown their cities, I don't know that they did. Did they not take steps to live in other areas of the world? First of all, did they know about glaciers eventually melting and drowning cities?
Well, they did, but they thought they had more time, Erik said. They thought
Okay.
that there was more time. They didn't realize there was going to be an event like this that happened that covered their cities.
Were they kind of planning to take steps to depopulate the area and move?
No,
Okay.
no, as he says, it's why so many did die. It's why most of them did. I mean, it's only
Well, that's
like
why I have my
a
to-do
small
list.
fraction.
I have
Yeah,
my to-do list on my index cards.
yeah.
Make plans to escape coming ice age or ice melt. If the buildings exist because they are made of metal, did any tools or machines exist today? Any tools? Okay. Did they have any special tools or machines to create buildings and aircrafts, etc.?
Yes, yes, they did. There are remnants and stuff buried under the sea still of the tools and the machinery that they used.
Yeah. Okay.
Went under the sea floor.
Now, the very high, large structures that fell over, did they fall because of the earthquakes or the flood, the water? What was the main thing that fell?
The earthquakes
Okay, I figured.
weakened the structures so much,
Yeah.
and then the water comes in and kind of finishes them off.
Okay. Why are there areas where there are no obvious buildings and other areas appear to have thousands of buildings? Maybe those some areas are not architecturally sound enough to establish a building in certain areas. Maybe it was, I don't know, used for
Yeah,
agriculture.
just like Erik says, just kind of like why some areas now are heavily populated and others aren't. Yeah, is used for agriculture, or the building isn't good there, or there's not water close by. You know, there's
Okay.
all kinds of reasons
Same
why.
as-
Plus, he says especially then there was like safety in the, well, theoretically there was safety in the numbers staying
Yeah.
close together, not being spread out.
Yeah. Okay. Is there evidence of one of these tunnels on the Hawaiian island of Maui, just a few meters inland, jutting up in the air, covered by vegetation? Is there that?
Yes.
Is there any technology that can be salvaged from this ancient buried civilization that would be valuable to us as mankind, humankind today?
So what Erik is saying is that any of the technology, because even when the people were realizing like, okay, we have to get out of here, they weren't taking that kind of stuff with them. They weren't taking the machinery and the tools, and they
Yeah.
weren't taking that. They were just fleeing for their lives.
Oh,
So most of the technology is so damaged that it would be very hard to piece together what it actually did. It's more about the materials, like finding the materials and studying what the materials were and trying to
that
figure
makes
that
sense.
out.
Are there any remains of this civilization buried under the Sphinx? Everybody always wonders about that. Yeah.
Erik said yes. There's a lot of stuff buried there or under.
One or two of the things, like a book or a scroll or.
I was just going to say he was showing me some scrolls. There's some scrolls under there. There's articles of like clothing, shoes,
Okay.
like this sort of stuff. Like this, like smaller kind of tools, like hammer, dishes, like this pottery, this sort of stuff. There's that kind of stuff there.
How about that special ET material? Is there any of that?
Yeah, not much. He says but there is some. Yes, there is
How did
some.
it get there?
You know what? He's telling me there's stuff from other civilizations and other times. It's
Beside this one?
yes.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of stuff under there,
Cool.
and it definitely feels as though whatever you want to call it, the universe, source, something is putting it there, and eventually there will be more and more discoveries there.
That's cool. So source.
Mystery though. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's so cool. Are there any other references to this civilization anywhere else in the world?
Yes, there are some references somewhere over, feels like over towards Asia.
Okay.
There's some there's some references on one of the islands over there,
Okay.
because there's some similarities.
Oh, interesting.
And there was ways of getting technology around Earth at the time,
Yeah.
even if it was just
Oh, yeah.
the
Right.
the traveling like that. So there's some island over there, like maybe in Japan type of area,
Okay.
where there's some references to this. Yes.
Interesting. What was the greatest invention that was lost when this civilization was destroyed?
Greatest invention that was lost.
Mhm. Like an anti-gravity device, um, special crystal.
So the crystals are a big one. The crystals are a big one. The anti-gravity device, Erik is saying that this wasn't invented by this necessarily. So
Okay.
and to be honest with you, neither were the crystals. They weren't invented. They kind of already were around, and maybe even further back, other extraterrestrials were using them.
Okay.
So I was like an invention that happened actually here,
Okay.
and it does have to do with getting structures up very quickly.
Oh,
There's some sort of machinery or tool that gets the construction up very, very quickly, and it feels like similar to something that then was used like for the pyramids.
yeah.
Like
And
how
the
the
coral
pyramids.
house, maybe. Yeah. Built so
Mhm.
quickly. Yeah, interesting. Y'all should check out that YouTube about the coral house. It's pretty cool. At one time, there was what appeared to be a huge, long black boat that was very slick and tapered to the front. It also had its coning tower, whatever this, very far back from the front. This boat can be seen at an angle of some 45 degrees still, yet still floating to some degree. Is this an ancient boat from this time?
Erik says more of like a submarine type of
Okay.
thing for traveling very fast under the water, very fast.
Wow. What caused it to sink? I guess it was supposed to sink because it's a submarine.
Yeah, damage. It was damaged
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So
Is it operational?
no, no,
Made of ET material?
yes.
Powered by.
Uh, so he just put like a force, an energy force. It's almost like as if as it's traveling through the water, it's like in a bubble. I don't know how else to put that. Like
Okay.
there's not water pounding against it. There's like a
Oh, so you don't have the
yeah,
friction of water.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Will this civilization ever rise out of the water, even if it's millions of years from now?
Will the civilization ever rise out? So will the parts? Yes. A lot of it is just gone. It's just gone,
Yeah.
damaged, dispersed through the ocean.
Yeah.
But yes, parts of it, yes.
Will we ever go down and try to investigate this, or maybe it's too deep?
So yes, we will. This falls into an area of stuff that's already being done but not talked about.
Okay,
Um,
that makes sense.
so yeah.
Well, I just have a few more questions. Can we know where we should look for their libraries? Probably there in the Sphinx and the Asian island, but any place. And are we even allowed to access those libraries?
No, we are not allowed to access them as humans from Earth right now.
By whom? Who's not allowing us? The government or ETs or?
This is ETs. It's
Okay.
just not. It's not time.
Yeah.
It's not time for that. And there is some of the stuff that actually still exists here on Earth is still very damaged too. Some of the writings and some of the stuff, the records, there's some damage to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we what Erik is saying is that when the time does come for this kind of stuff, and some of it is already being done, he says it is going to be through help from extraterrestrials and technology that we still don't have here.
Well, okay. Are there any remains of bodies that could be found and well preserved there?
Yes, not many, but
Yeah.
yes, there are some well preserved.
Wow.
Yes.
Maybe in the crafts or somewhere where animals can't get to them.
Yeah. 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 In the craft, or some of it happens so fast
Yeah.
that it's like if they're buried, so the preservation of being
Oh, yeah.
under the not in the water, but so far under the water that
Under the
there's
seabed?
not not as much damage.
Oh, okay. Any in that little submarine doohickey?
There were.
Are they completely destroyed?
They've been. Erik says they've been found.
Really?
There does. Yeah, he is saying that there's been some investigating.
Mm-hmm. What about the U.S. Navy?
He's saying like a piece, like a small piece, not like a full remains.
Like just the pinky.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the U.S. Navy already examining this ancient civilization or any other?
Yeah, but from a distance, it does feel like from a distance.
Okay.
I don't know if this is just some of this is just so deep that perhaps the technology doesn't exist here to get so deep. I don't really know.
Okay.
It feels like that is help of extraterrestrials to really get to it and dig it up and
okay.
Yeah.
When will it rise out of the water? Then we can examine it.
When?
Yeah.
There would have to be another huge event like this to shift the Earth around again. So what Erik says is not in the lifetime of anybody who's here now.
Okay.
So
well, that's good.
Hundreds of years or more.
Maybe okay. Last question. Can we speak to a representative from this civilization for a message or any additional information?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome. Erik, can you bring them in or her?
So there's the extraterrestrial energy. They can also come down and have a lifetime as a human. Like a lot of people who are here stemmed from extraterrestrial energy. So a lot of times they're not really that different of souls than us. They're just souls that used to be on one planet and then started going to others, like the starseed energy.
Right.
So just like we can communicate with people who've crossed over, it's not really different. It's on a soul level, it's not really different.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So would they like to say it something?
So I was asking him to bring a soul in who was like not a hybrid, not a human, but actually extraterrestrial, like came from where they came from to be here. And so he did. He brought somebody in. So I don't have a name.
Erik?
I have a masculine energy, male energy. He is appearing much larger than Erik.
Okay.
He is one that got out. I don't know what to call him. I'm sorry. He is one that escaped.
Good.
Escaped this and kind of had to start over.
How did you escape?
What do you want to ask? What do you?
Yeah. How did you escape?
Ground.
Oh, higher
left
ground.
And went to higher ground.
How long
left and went to higher ground.
Did you eventually teleport to another planet, or did you your years there, or what?
So what he's saying is, when he left before, he was one that kind of believed that something's up, something's going on. So he left, goes to higher ground. But no, he said he stayed on Earth. He stayed right in that vicinity, stayed in that area. But it was like I'm being plunged back into the dark ages, so to speak, because they lost so much technology and so much of everything. So it was like it was really like if you just walked out into the woods and tried to live out there.
Ugh.
Um,
How long did you live and how did you die?
so he said he was already pretty old. He says he was one of the elders at the time, is what
Oh,
he called himself. And so he says like in Earth time, like 50 years after that.
oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yes.
Oh, how was it when this whole thing happened in a matter of hours? Describe your emotions. I don't know, maybe you have emotions or not, but
So no, there was, it was, but fight or flight is what I'm hearing from him.
yeah,
It was just survival mode.
yeah.
And so he says even though he had escaped, you could still hear and feel
Oh,
stuff happening. Now he said he did say I couldn't hear the people. I was far enough away that I couldn't hear,
good.
but the earth, you're however
Yeah.
many dozens of miles away, you can still feel it.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
And he said
Good.
he did just say, I just remember knowing that it was never going to be the same again.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been devastating. Did you
mhm.
take anybody? Did you flee with anyone else?
Yes. His family,
Okay.
some family, there's about 20. There was others that got out. I feel like it was like in the hundreds.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that did get out, a few hundred. But for him, he says like a group of like 20
Okay.
friends and family left.
Okay. All your
Yeah.
face friends. All right. What about,
Yeah.
did you get along with humans and hybrids that had escaped?
Yes.
Anything else you want to share about this whole thing before we close?
So, sorry, he actually has a good sense of humor. He says,
Oh,
you don't need to worry about something like this happening. These kind of things did happen because Earth Earth was like untouched.
yeah.
And then it had to get ready for the human experience.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like going from untouched to just how it is now. It
Mm,
had to go through these processes, these karmic, I can't remember what you said, the karmic stuff. And that was part of it. This was part of it. So
right.
for anybody who's watching, we're not looking at like an end of days, losing whole civilization type of thing.
Well, in one
Um,
interview, it's interesting you should say that. I can't remember with whom, maybe Adrian the Tall White said that we're not going to have another cataclysm because the ETs are like tired of starting over with humans because
yeah.
destroys all of us and then they have to start all over again and teach us,
Yeah,
walk again. So,
that's how it feels, but it really does feel more like Earth is doing what Earth was supposed to be doing.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
so like they don't really need to start over with us again, so to speak. So
Okay.
there won't be those cataclysmic events
Okay.
happening.
All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Eric. I love you two both very much. And you
Oh,
guys
love
check out
you.
Jennifer at psychic medium jenniferdorn.com. And
Thank
be
you.
sure you subscribe and share this with your ET and ancient civilization fanatics or zealots, I should say, because I'm one of those. And hit the notification bell. Love you.
I love you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Thank you. Feel better.
Thank you.